Dr. Audrey Gugu Gamedze. Dr. Gamedze is our medical team lead. She is a specialist consultant in obstetrics and gynecology. She runs her own private practice where she helps and serves women from all walks of life on a daily basis. She has a heart for women because she identifies by virtue of being a woman, sister, mother, a wife, a daughter-in-law, and understands the journey of a woman and is still passionate about wanting to learn more about women. She facilitates the Ask Your Gynae sessions on the Amazing Power of Women broadcast.
We are in church. Those who come to my clinic, they know I cannot stop talking about Jesus because that's who I am. So I will start off by a very powerful story that's always in my heart. I was sharing about it even this week in prayer in Luke chapter 8, where Jesus is talking to a nameless woman. I've wondered so many times, why does this woman have no name? She is called a woman with an issue. Everywhere she goes, she's a woman with an issue. And they track her duration to about 12 years. Then this one day, she purposed in her heart that I hear there's a gynecologist who's walking around. I love the way she personalized it because she didn't look at Jesus as the person who heals men or the person who restores wigs that have fallen, but she personalized that space into her issue. And she said, if I can press through this crowd and touch the hem of his garment, I'll be healed. May I please cultivate that spirit as we are here? I am a gynecologist. I believe that in the space where I'm practicing, I am that extended hand of God, that extended hem that is waving around. It is an opportunity for every woman to tap into that. The knowledge that I have, I promise you, it's not all that I learned at medical school, but it's so God inspired. I also get amazed sometimes at the things that we can do purely because God is giving impartation and inspiration at this moment. So today as I'm standing here, it's your day to touch the hem. The hem is around here. We've been praying. Don't leave without your problem unattended to. We've just done a few ladies for the screening. We've picked up a few things which we didn't know about, that we were working with them in our body. So it is a privilege to get help, visit our screening, and also know that when Jesus does something, I like the way Pastor Chooks does it. He involves the medicals, he puts in the spiritual and other issues that touch our life. That's the God we serve. He's such a complete God. So Jesus here said to this lady after the whole ordeal, daughter. That touched my heart a lot, that you come nameless. You come with a woman with an issue of fibroids, an issue of heavy bleeding, an issue of a discharge. But when you are cleansed, Jesus says, daughter. So can we leave this place with a new name? Can we leave this place whole? Amen. Okay, I'm passing there. So today, Cleo, did you manage to load something for me? I sent something very, very basic because I want us to have a conversation. I'm used to doing one-on-one. Now we're going to do one-on-many. Please don't be scared. If you're scared, please write something down. We want to talk about everything. So I have said you and your body as a female. I said, please know it, please understand it, and love it. Today you look so beautiful. The loving part, I can see it. But do we know ourselves? Do we know that when we say a woman, what are we talking about? And we've got daughters, we've got, English is so hard. What are the little girls who are your sister's kids and so on? Nieces, okay, it's nieces. That English I never got right. Okay, so, but in any way, as a woman, you are raising a little girl next to you, and that girl is experiencing changes. She wants to know, is this okay? Should I be worried about this? If you're raising a son, Rosaria, he will come to you and say, I was playing with my friend so I didn't hurt her. And she was just pleading. And you need to be able to package it in such a way that your son understands, why was that girl pleading? Because he didn't hurt her. So we need to know ourselves and understand. The A to Z of a woman is very intricate. So I said I'm going to be led by where we are. I see we've got a few brothers. Please don't get intimidated. I am very explicit because if I say next to, you'll be left focusing on the cow that's eating by the river, yet I was talking about the river. So I'm very, very explicit. So may I please have the next slide? I have made it not to be like school so that we can talk about it. So when we speak about the female reproductive system, it is divided into the external and the internal. The external is what made your mother say, I got a baby girl. That is how it looks like. I tried to get a picture that is not so explicit, but I'm very explicit for the reason that we need to know what is what. So that's how a lady would look like externally. So we've got 3 openings which we don't know about. The P comes out differently. It should be written urethra. And then the vagina, where periods happen and where babies come out. And then at the end, it is the anal opening. So sometimes when you are bleeding, you don't know what is bleeding. I say if you experience a bleed, you need to start off wiping at the back. Okay, it's clean. So it doesn't mean that I've got piles. It doesn't mean that I'm constipated. And then when you come to the middle, you stay at the middle. If you can even touch a little bit, you will see that, okay, it means I'm bleeding from the vagina. And if you are bleeding from the urethra, the very top, usually that you will see splattered on your toilet basin. So usually when somebody was like, I went to pee and the whole basin was like, okay, I know, it's not me. So it's somebody else. So that we need to know. And then we've got the labias. The labias are the coverings. I love God. God doesn't leave things just exposed. It's covered nicely. It's the petals of the female. So those petals, like in newborns, sometimes you find them close together, fused like this. Now you don't know how to help the baby. What you do there, you just take some Vaseline and an earbud. Gentle. Put lots of Vaseline and you just wipe nicely in between. It usually opens very nicely. That usually happens because of inflammation, either from the nappy change or what. But if you don't know how it is supposed to look, you will not know what it is. Okay. And then for those who are in practice, in some cultures, I don't think we have them in Southern Africa, you find that the clitoris and the labia minora, that is the smaller petals, they get cut and stitched together. So if you have never seen that, you will not know what is wrong. It's very pertinent when it comes to delivery. It's pertinent when the lady comes to you and talking about sexual dysfunctioning. You need to know how it's supposed to look like. Do I have midwives here? I know I do. So they will see those things. Okay, let's go to the next slide. And then inside, God put those powerful things there. I forgot my pointer. The interesting thing to me is the relationship of how things are. So let's start from your left side. That will be the front. So that lady is standing like I'm standing, and she's been cut into half. So you are seeing that half from the side. So it's the bladder where the wee stays, and then following that is the womb. Up there, that white thing that's standing on top of the womb, it's the eggs. They look like that for somebody who has not had babies. Once you have babies, they come and sit almost behind the womb. And then behind the womb, we've got the rectum. So the reason why I'm showing the relationship is because if something is not right with your bladder, you're going to come to Dr. Gamedze and say, my womb. If something is not right with your rectum, like there's ladies who don't go to the toilet a whole week. I know, girls, you're beautiful, you don't want to visit that place, but it is so wrong. You must go to the toilet every single day, unless you are on a fast. But even the body knows what to do. So if you don't go to the toilet every day, please make sure you get Dr. Marat's card. She is a colorectal doctor. She will be able to sort you out. There's something that's not right. So you will think that it's your womb because the colon or the rectum is full. So those relationships are very important. And then towards the bottom side, you can see nicely how the wee pipe, the vagina, and the rectum are sitting. That's also very important in where we are heading to. May I please have the next slide? Okay, then when we focus on the womb and its relations, that is how it looks like. The Zulus, they will call it inkomo because it looks moo now. Okay, so in the middle, we've got the womb, which we call the uterus. At the bottom, it's the vagina. The significance of that picture, what I wanted to bring into point is that the vagina it's a passage, but when you get towards the top, it widens. So that plays part in childbirth and also in what we are doing, like tampon and what's the silicone cup? Yes. So when you put your silicone cup, it must sit there in the widest part of the vagina. Then it's well positioned. God was so clever. He knew there was going to be a silicone cup. In this generation, it needed to sit nicely there. So that's where tampon, when you insert it, it's a small thing like my finger, but when it gets inside, as it absorbs moisture, it grows bigger. That's the space that allows it to stay in. And also you can see those lines that go across. Those are the lines that help the vagina to have that stretchy potential, so it can stretch. And then on the sides, the whitish part, those are the egg baskets. And then those nice tubes, kinky ones, we call them the fallopian tubes. So the significance of the relationship also matters in how disease processes present. If there is something happening in your ovaries, you might even experience some bleeding, or you might feel that the pain is here. If it is something bigger, you might even tell, okay, no, it's on my left side. No, it's my right. You can tell explicitly. So those relationships are very important. And also, every woman naturally has got one womb, and unnaturally can have a duplication. And the duplication varies from levels of it's one womb with two horns, or I'm not going to dig into that. But when it comes to care, when we advise our daughters, we take care more of what God did not duplicate. We've got one heart. We must take care of it because when it fails, there's no other. You take care of your womb, because if something happens to it, there is no other. So upbringing, the way we raise our girls, must point towards ukuziphatha kahle is important. Nowadays, we don't talk about conduct to our daughters, because we ourselves have failed here and there. Even if you have failed, it does not mean that you do not need to talk about it. Conduct is important. Those are the things we'll talk about when we drive in the car. If sitting down is no longer possible. And also, when you meet other people's daughters, I'm very sorry, I break a lot of boundaries. When I meet a 19-year-old in my practice who is coming for contraception or is coming because there's an STI, that's my daughter. Am I right or wrong? That's my daughter. I can't treat that child like I'm a doctor and end there. I need to say something. If you are in a taxi, you are sitting next to a child, a girl child, say something. We are living in that age where your child, it's none of my business. But in the house of the Lord, let's take that responsibility, impart something. I have teenagers in my practice and I talk to them. They don't run away. I've had others who are now married. They come and they show me, this is the one. And I talk to the one as well, because I'm trying to say, in the community, we are all responsible. But if you don't know there's only one womb, you'll think, okay, abuse it, my child. When it's time, you'll go and use the next one. You can't. Those fallopian tubes, there are also two. God knew, because they are so delicate. At some point in time, you find that they get blocked, or because of unkind sexually transmitted diseases or unkind endometriosis, they get hurt and they cannot function. If one is preserved, the future of having a baby is somehow looking brighter. So know what comes in twos, know what comes in one. Okay, with the next slide, I wanted to highlight those who are raising daughters about tenor staging. Tenor staging mainly, I wish it was projecting here so that you can see better. That's too straight. It's about the development of pubic hair and the development of breasts. For me, that was the most embarrassing state of my life, because no one was talking about it. And it was like, breasts are supposed to develop in a certain way. Mine, they just grew up facing the ground. And those who grew up in communities like mine know the implications of that. So I was walking like this because I was scared of how, number one, I've got breasts very early. My peers don't have them. Secondly, they are already bowing to gravity. I haven't done anything. So it was embarrassing. And they were growing very fast. And then after that, the other one became so big and so ugly, whilst the other one was so beautiful. So it was the most painful part of my growing up. But where was a woman like you at that point in time? So let's embrace our daughters when they get to this. At first, it will be plain with no hair, tenor 1. When they get to tenor 2, things are starting to bud around the nipples, and you can see like baby hair growing somehow. The most distinct thing is the body odor around that time. Embrace that child. You can't say, Yanuga, ambokez. You can't do that. You need to explain now, because you're growing up. Same as your chemistry, there are certain things. Let's pay a little bit more attention when we wash. If you can afford, you buy roll-on. Where I grew up, it was soap. I still believe it works. The same soap that you use for bathing, when you finish washing, you rub it under your armpits. It will give you a reasonable or body odor. Secondly, drying out. You make sure that you are dry. You don't wear your clothes whilst you're still wet because the body odor will be much more pronounced. When it comes to summer, make sure that you wash with a reasonable temperature of water so that your skin does not perspire as much. And then when we get to around 3, the breasts are already showing. Around 4, they are starting now to say whether they are bowing to gravity or they are going to stay standing. And please stop this thing of saying things about gravitating breast because your genetics also play a role. Some of us, our mothers have got breasts up to here, and then you expect your daughters, their breasts to be up here. It's so wrong. So let's embrace genetics. Talk up to children. I've got supersized breasts. You might have your breast growing that big. So what we're going to do is to make sure that when you are dressed up, they are nicely cupped. Last year we had a beautiful session where we were talking about bra sizing. We dress up in our bras. Sometimes our breasts are spilling on top, spilling at the bottom. Others, we have to roll them up and then pack them. Please get a properly sized bra. It may be difficult, but if you've got one good bra, you are sorted. So that's tenor staging. So we need to walk with our daughters throughout that time. It is very important, more especially from a perspective of body naming and shaming. May I please go on to the next slide? Okay, now I'm starting my talk. The menstrual cycle. We all go through this, but we don't understand what it is. And we have learned to embrace things that are supposed to be a problem when it comes to menstruation. So menstruation, it is actually a way for the body to say, I am not pregnant. It releases. I say to my ladies when I explain it, there is an egg that gets prepared and groomed. You're going to make clans and generations. Get ready. And then that egg finds that, no. This girl is washed by the blood of Jesus. There's no sperm circulating in her body. So in the womb, there's been all systems put in place, making this nice, soft mattress, getting ready that a baby will come and sleep on this mattress. And when the womb gets disappointed, it gets, let's roll away this mattress, and it comes out as menstruation. So how long should a woman menstruate and how much should a woman menstruate? The longest we expect is 7 days. Anything more than that is abnormal. And we do expect it to be about 80 mils. That's what we learned at school. So I say 80 mils is possible for those who use a menstrual cup because you can actually, how many ladies you know about the menstrual cup? Let me not say use. Okay. That's a beautiful way of measuring your period and also being economic around periods. It's worth experimenting with. And then, whilst you are menstruating, the ovaries, which are those egg baskets that we saw, they are already electing an egg that is going to be making the cleanse in the next chance, the next trial. And that expulsion to say now you are mature, you can go out, happens at exactly 14 days. So I've heard that even if your cycle is short, by cycle I mean first day of menstruation to the next day of menstruation. Please don't come and tell me your cycle is 5 days. You are very wrong, 0/10. Cycle is first day of menstruation to first day of the next menstruation. So even if your cycle is short, 26 days, you will still ovulate around day 14. That is usually accompanied by breast tenderness. Your breasts become full and painful. You can also get a thick, stretchy mucoid discharge. That's a sign that you are ovulating. And then if you do happen to meet the brothers around that time, you will definitely fall pregnant. So, seeing that the male seed stays in the woman for up to 72 plus hours, the possibility of being intimate around day 10 or around day 12, 13, you can still fall pregnant if you ovulate on day 14. So that's where protection comes into place for those ladies who do not want to use hormone for contraception. And then the last part of the cycle, that side you are usually safe. And that side you usually see bubbly women, they are happy now, the pimples are getting better. It's usually a better side of the cycle. We all love it. May I please have the next slide? So when things go wrong on the menstrual cycle, it is usually at the different phases. And for us women, the brain is the main center that controls all of that. Puberty, I have spoken about our daughters, the skin, because of the hormonal changes. We start seeing a lot of acne around that time. So you can't say to your daughter, yo, you so much look like a crocodile. Your face, you are already destroying that child. Let's have better ways of supporting our kids around that time. Dr. Osoare is one of our GPs. She helps also with skin conditions in children. So have somebody looking at the child's skin and we do something. It is so unfortunate that our children sit on media now, social media. They are so conscious about how skin should look like and so on. So please make sure that we nurture it at that time. Hydration is important. Good nutrition is also very important. The breasts, I've spoken about it. It is so natural to have unequal breasts. Usually with time, they catch up and they look more or less the same. So please reassure them. Menstruation, I've touched around it. Discharge, we don't talk about it oftentimes. When your daughter shows you something on a panty, what comes to your mind? The first thing. Mpome, I know you don't have a daughter, but what will come to your mind? You see, so you're talking exactly like your mother. So discharge is it's an indicator that your body as a woman is now responding to the hormones. Okay, so once you start seeing those staining on your daughter's discharge, it should start ringing a bell that, okay, this person is releasing hormones towards puberty now, and you start supporting. It must not smell, and usually the smell that you girls pick up is related to urine. So it will smell like urine. It will not smell like rotten eggs or rotten fish, and it should not have an off color. It will still look whitish, or because of the time they change their underwears, you might find it that it has already dried up, it's looking yellowish. But those are the things that you must look at as mothers, and please speak to our daughters that they do happen. And then body hygiene, I've spoken about it. Encourage your daughters to bath, but if you don't bath, she will not bath. Daughters must see, they must see you going for a bath. And minankulela makaya, you will have an invitation. We are going to bath. And that means that the stone will be rolling over you. Like, get into that habit, and that's how you'll even get to see, oh, she's getting pimples at the back. Oh, the hair is developing. But if you stay away, you'll miss out on important things. And that also encourages the talking. Like, my daughter would still come to me and show me something that's there. Like, look there. She's not scared. But I would never do that to my mom. Even now, I would show my husband, like, can you see something? So it should not be like that. So let's cultivate the culture of communicating and support our daughters going through puberty. May I take a question on puberty? I'll take one and then go on.
I just need to quickly find out if they're doing, you're advising for, especially for some of us women that don't want to have kids, if you're not going on periods using the the preventional, whether depot or, what's the other one?
The pills and the injections.
Yes, yes. Is it okay if you're not going on your periods when you're using them? Yeah.
Thank you so much, sis. Okay, the first question. I have always said that our children are as expensive as we put a label on them. So if you want to, if you can afford panty liners, yes, we can. There are now, especially Cortex, I love it. It's so teenage tailored. You can find even ones for G-string, you can find all shapes and ultra thin, yes, they can use them. And then secondly, even if you don't have a panty liner, the panties that we wear have got that extra cotton that is usually enough to contain a discharge, unless it is watery and flowy or you leaking urine. And then that will also help with washing. We need to wash our underwears. I don't know, now you buy those bags and throw them in the washing machine, but however it is, hygiene, yes. And then secondly, about menses, yes, there are some prevention methods that take menstruation away. The injection is one of them, both the 3 months and the 2 months. But most women on the 2 months do see their menses. And then the Mirena also, it takes away the periods or reduces them significantly. The implant with the matchsticks that we plant under our skins, they also take away the menstruation. Amongst the pills, it's usually the ones that we use when we are breastfeeding, microviral. So with most of us, breastfeeding and those pills will take away your periods. So those are the few contraceptive states that will take away your menses. Thank you. Okay, let's go to the next. If I am too fast, just write it down. We will look at your question. We've got a wonderful program that we run every month. It's called Ask Your Gynae. It's on YouTube. We get to attend to a lot of those issues. Okay, so in the reproductive age, which is where most of us are, most of the issues that I see in my practice are pertaining to menstruation, which is too much blood flow, too less blood flow. I don't see my periods. Those are the common issues around menstruation. So like I've said, normally it should be 7 days. And once you start buying extra flow, night flow, extra length, tampon, extra length, bloomers, tight pant, there is something wrong. You can't live with that. And also when you look at yourself, when you look at your eyes in the mirror, you must see those small branches of blood vessels on your eyes. If you need to open like this, already there's a problem. And when you look at yourself like that, you still can't see the branches underneath your eye, there's something wrong. When it is nice and warm and you do this to your hand, it must look pink. When you do this and it still stays pink, that's good. When you press here and you go white, there's something that's not right. So we need to know that this period of blood flow every month is a cost to the body. So you are wasting, you are transfusing pads. So we need to make sure that we replenish. I've got pamphlets of one of the very good iron supplements, Ferrovents, by one of the ladies. I'm so proud of her, Stella. She is making products tailored for women. So you can take those supplements. I always say, towards your periods, intensify. 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening, even during your period. Then thereafter, you can continue taking one once a day to keep your iron levels very good. We are so fatigued. We are so irritable. We are so tired. We can't have babies. Some of these problems, they are summarized by your iron content. So if you're wasting a lot of blood during your period, please see us before you go. Please, please, please. And then pregnancy-related complications. I haven't seen any mom who's expecting, but they form part of our reproductive age. When I say pregnancy-related, I mean you might already be pregnant, but you find that you are experiencing losses. We've got a very wonderful talk on miscarriages, and Pastor Chooks put the spiritual aspect of miscarriages as well. Please do find it on YouTube. It's there for us. And then problems relating to delivery and problems related to postnatal. I think I can speak a little bit more around postnatal. The time after you have given birth is a time of reconstitution for every woman, starting from the way you look, the way you feel about yourself. I always go around and say, please appreciate what your body has just done. It's massive. A whole, complete human being has just landed through you. You've taken eternity, brought it down to the physical. That's how much you have just done. So there is no way that such a long journey of going to eternity to retrieve from God's archive, carrying it for 9 months and delivering will just put you to place in 1 second. My body, my looks, my what. So let's embrace that period. It puts unnecessary pressure on your family, unnecessary pressure on your spouse, and mentally. Then some screws are not working well. After you've given birth, just qoqa yourself. Please remember this. You have just fulfilled God's intention. Even if it's a child that's born outside wedlock, that child is carrying a purpose. So you can't then reduce yourself to nothing. You are irritating everybody around you. Compose yourself somehow. And if you are struggling, there is something called postnatal depression. It affects real human beings. It's common also amongst the high-functioning women because you want to have it all. Tone down, like slow down. Close your laptops, enjoy that period. Even if you can't enjoy it, pretend like you are enjoying, like slow down. That will bring sanity. And then allow your body to recompose itself. It takes time, but go with it. If you are a person who is very physically active, go back to your physical activities, but be kind on yourself. And if you need to make adjustments on wardrobe, make adjustments. Some of us who are already here were never born size 28. They were never born, but after having 3 babies, they want to be size 28. Be practical. It's going to help. So that period is very important. And know yourself, if you feel you're not coping, talk to somebody. I feel like I'm not coping. Is it okay if I feel like this? It's going to help us moving forward. And also there are diseases that we acquire in that period, either during pregnancy or after pregnancy, like blood pressure, diabetes. Those are it's painful to be told you've got high blood pressure in pregnant. You need to take medication. You go to check 6 weeks, Dr. Gamedze tells you your high blood pressure is out of control. The fact that now I have to be on medication for a longer time in my life or for lifelong, it becomes emotionally hectic. But open up, let's talk about it, and let's help each other. And then infertility. It's a bigger one. It's something that we are seeing in our time. The small justification that I've heard is that we are delaying having children. We are on Pastor Chooks' single boot camp for too long. We are pursuing careers for too long. We don't want to be controlled. I'm sure, Pastor Chooks, you hear that. We don't want to be controlled. I just want to be independent. So all of those things are processes. By the time we are all system goes for having children, a few things have taken a toll on those first few slides that we presented. So what's the best age to have a baby? If we are talking about age, they usually say your early 20s to your early 30s. But those times you are still at varsity, a lot is still happening. And then in the house of the Lord, we say marriage. It was only when I met Pastor Chooks that I heard that as a single person, you must pray for marriage. How? Till now we were told you are being carnal, you are praying for marriage, you must be praying for heaven, like to walk in. So please do pray for marriage. And let's encourage our daughters to pray for it so that things happen on time. There's a lot that God needs to do in our lives in preparation for marriage. And if we didn't pray for it, we will not even have the anticipation. Uzondlula la every day, ungamboni, because you are not praying for it. So infertility, it's a big thing, both as gynaes and also spiritually. But if you are struggling in that department, I always say, do not wait to say, let me see tomorrow, let me see next time, let me do whatever. It's better to know very early what is the problem. Is it fixable? God has given enough intellectual property to a lot of doctors to assist with difficult issues if we are struggling to fall pregnant. I think I can talk up to there. Contraception. Usisi has already touched on it. It affects us. As a woman, nowadays you need to know when we need to have children. How many can we support? And how is our spacing supposed to be? So contraception in the house of the Lord pertains to people who are married. If you are not married, it's not your department. But we are saying that it is an available avenue for undesired, unplanned, unwanted, pregnancies, and it must be used. Tina as gynaes, we use it more for period issues. If we need to have our periods planned and our periods controlled, or you are going on honeymoon, that's the commonest and I love it. We're going on honeymoon, we just want to postpone the periods, we do use contraceptives. So it's an avenue that's available. The most important thing that I always advise my ladies, when you are going for contraception in our clinics, it's not as much as common, but please sit down with a clinician who can explain to you what is what and what will suit your need. It's not one size fits all. I do have ladies who come to me and say, Doctor, I want injection. Okay, you can have the injection, but let's get a little bit more of history around this and this and this. And you can't have the injection in the background of A, B, and C. So speak about that. The main thing that goes around in most marriages is loss of sexual desire. I am pro-contraception, but I know it does a lot when it comes to your sexual desire as a woman. Apart from the fact that everything is happening around you, you need to think about children, you need to think about that and that and that. By the time you are supposed to have that special moment, you've lost all of your interest. But contraception plays a huge role. So when we discuss contraception, we touch around those things and what to expect so that your marriage does not suffer because of contraception. And then tumors, the commonest that I would like to touch on is fibroids. A tumor is a growth in medicine. A growth, it can be a growth that is non-cancerous, it can be a growth that's cancerous. So tumors, fibroids are the commonest one that we see. Please do get checked. Please get to know how they are impacting your life as a woman and also how they can affect your reproductive life later on. We've got a whole beautiful lecture around fibroids in one of our YouTube presentation, Ask Your Gynae. So please do visit that. And then the cancerous ones, They are not common in our age group, but we are seeing some changes. So please, I always say, if your mother has died of a cancer, follow that doctor down until you find her or him to say, I just want to know what kind of a cancer it was. So that if it's cancer of the cervix, you know it doesn't affect your family. But if it's cancer of the ovaries, cancer of the womb, it has a habit of tracking behind the daughters. So please get to know that. Most of us Africans, me included, we don't talk about those things in our family. All we know is, it was isibeleto, or it was just a bleed, and the person passed on. And no one says that this person has been bleeding for years and has been going to doctors. It's not spoken about. So when it comes to cancers that run in families, you are allowed to be nosy and just check what happened so that you can get help. There's what is called genetic mapping, so they can look into your genes and let you know that this one is there in your genes, it's going to affect you. And then breast was taken away from the gynae, given to the surgeons. I think it's because surgeons are males. They like to do the breast, but I do examine the breast. And if you've got a lump in your breast, it needs attention. And once it's been diagnosed and once something has been done about it, it must be followed up every year. The reason why we follow up is because things have got a tendency to change personality. So like today, I'm seeing you nicely dressed like this. Tomorrow, I see something else. That's what happens with most of the breast lumps. So they must be followed. I personally encourage that if there's a breast lump, rather ask the doctor to remove it than to just put a needle and leave it there. Because when it changes personality, sometimes you'll be somewhere in the rurals of Swaziland where no one knows about the breast, and something that started as innocent complicates and you are out of help. And then sexually transmitted infections, hlala ngentombi. Like, sit properly, legs crossed. That's how I can say it. Those who are married, you must be more sensitive in the spirit so that physically you are sharpened. If there's something that's happening, God will tell you there's something happening. Condoms, 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 condoms. And how do we see that I might be having a sexually transmitted infection? It will be the color of the discharge, the smell of the discharge. Sometimes you can even get some sores around. You can also have pains. I'm happy to see one of my sisters that I work with in my theater. We see huge, horrible things. Thank you, Sis Marilyn, for coming through. So some of these things are very much controllable. If uhlala ngentombi, if I see a 19-year-old with a tummy that's full of pus, simply because the thighs were not closed, it's very, very bad, because from that, you know, the whole entire career of reproduction is in the dustbin. So let's encourage our daughters. Uguti, it's okay to wait and not taste. It is okay. Marriage is one institution where you don't need a test drive. You walk there innocently and start walking. So don't have the embarrassment that I've got no experience. It's very, very important. Sexually transmitted infections, they extend to HIV, they extend to uncurable things, syphilis. Syphilis, once you give it to your daughter or your son in the womb during pregnancy, it's a whole host of complications. So what am I saying? We've got one reproductive journey. It starts from your puberty. It ends when you get to menopause, the class that we've all missed, but we will get it, it will be recorded. And in that journey, you don't have a chance to have stupid faults. Today's class is to say, he who said, daughter, from a woman with an issue is here today. He can help us with what seems impossible.
Hello, everybody. You talked about breast. Yes, I have a question. I even asked if there's any chance to be checked. There's no lump, as I checked before, but there's a pain that comes and goes. And another doctor told me that it might have been caused by grief. So I just want to understand, if there is no lump, what do I do?
Thank you so much. May I just take the next question as well?
Hello, everybody. I think maybe my question is a bit controversial because you're pro-contraception. Let me allow myself
I'm
to be. Let me allow myself to be vulnerable and share my story.
Thank you so much.
I have been on contraceptives since I was 18, 17, turning 18. The doctor told me that it was because they were trying to regulate my cycle, my periods were up and down. And I'm still on contraception now, I'm 37 now. Now, my question is surrounding the relationship between contraception and the side effects. Throughout my journey, I've been researching, reading articles, watching documentaries about contraceptives causing cancer, contraceptives causing hormonal imbalances, and throughout my journey with contraceptives, I was diagnosed with endometriosis, I've had miscarriages, so I've had a lot of side effects that came with it, and thank God I haven't been diagnosed with cancer. So I want to find out, what is it about contraceptives and the relationship between it causing all these other things? Even throughout my researching, I've seen that, or I've come to find out that it can also cause a lot of our mood swings, our perception on life, our perspective on life, our spirituality as well is affected because of the hormonal pills or the IUDs that we use, so it in a way affects so many aspects of our lives that we
Thank you so
don't
much.
really, know about.
Thank you. Okay, that was elaborate. Thank you so much for sharing your journey as well. Much appreciated. Okay, let me start with the easiest, the breast. There was supposed to be Dr. Maraj. She got a bad bout of flu, so she was going to be helping us with the breast. But there's something they call mastalgia, where your breast is just painful. That can be aggravated during your cycle. It can be aggravated during ovulation, and also touching. There's those who are intimate, there's ways that can be touched. And breastfeeding, sometimes you get some calcification on your breast ducts, which then later on create a form of inflammation. So if it has been checked with the mammogram or an ultrasound and there's nothing of significance that has been picked up, sometimes you just need to treat the nerves of it. So you may do well just on some pain control or some neuroleptics to manipulate the nerves. But it is worth following. I always say the body is a wonderful machine. It usually doesn't say something for nothing. So you might find that in the long run, there will be something that needs to be attended to. Mammogram, they normally do it for a certain age group. Normally, they say from the age of 40. But if you've got a history, you can start from the age of 35. Mammogram is more sensitive when the breast has lost its tissue. So it's easier to see through it. But whilst it's still firm in the reproductive age, you can get some false alarms here and there. But yes, you need to go to, in Park Lane, they've got a very reputable breast radiology center. So they do the ultrasounds and the mammogram, so it's helpful there. We'll refer you to Lee, please. Okay, and then contraceptives, it's a huge can of worm that we have just opened around contraceptives. Contraceptives, when they were designed, they were very high in the hormones. They use natural hormones, which are slightly different from what is in our bodies. Our bodies need to work on that first before it can be what it is in our bodies. And that leads to what we call a first pass effect, which is where the liver works on that substance before it can go into the bloodstream to be used. So that means that to your digestive system, there's a cost to pay to turn those hormones into something that can go through to the liver and so on. So that is already a metabolic stress. And then secondly, when it comes to the age at which we start. So when I have a teenage, you start that child in the lowest dose that will control the period than to start on any other dose that I would give to a lady who is 160 kilograms. But unfortunately, when all these things started, it was one size fits all in the market. And also our public sector tends to stock what is less costly and what is readily available. There are some contraceptives which if you have to order them, you will have to wait or you'll have to get a prescription because it's a certain mix or a certain kind of estrogen. And also when you go back to say, it's not working well for me, I am always tearful on this, I am always moody on this, it will be like, yes, it's as Lalila next. So it's slightly different. But when it comes to mood, contraceptives have a lot to do, and that will be the type of progesterone that you are on. So we change the progesterone or we eliminate, so there's a lot we can do to play around. And then your perception, like you are saying, there's certain times that if you are on the contraceptive, things look bigger. He just said that, hey, this perfume, but you heard that. My husband said, this perfume is stinky, it's poor, it's cheap, because I work as a domestic, I can't afford. Like you hear a lot of things. He just said one thing, like this perfume. If you were not on what you are on, you just said, what's wrong with it, my love? And he would tell you, you know what, I've seen it so many times. I'm happy you actually bought it for yourself. Like, I found it on a billboard, this perfume. But because you are in the state where you had all the other things that he didn't say. So yes, they do contribute to mood. And usually those will be the progesterones as well. And then when it comes to cancer, it is more around genetics as well. In medicine, we always say the risk must be outweighed by the benefit, meaning that everything is dangerous. But if you, Gugu Gamedze, will benefit more than the danger there is to it, go for it. So that's what we do. Even when it comes to the selection, if you come to me and you've got a history of ovarian cancer at home, definitely you're not gonna go on contraceptive. And secondly, those ovaries must come out by the age of 30. So there's a lot that we tend to look into before we start contraceptives. When it comes to hormonal imbalance, you might be correcting this and causing that. It does happen. Do they cause miscarriages? No, they do not cause miscarriages, but if your hormones are not balanced, some ladies, they will have to be falling pregnant and then you give them more hormonal support in the early stages of the pregnancy. That's why some people will be on cyclogest and whatever to give support. So I am pro-contraception. I am not pro-contraception, but contraception is treatment that has helped some ladies to achieve, because either they were not getting periods or they were not regulating periods or their periods were so heavy, whatever the case may be. I always say when I speak to ladies with a similar scenario like you have painted, parents will always have your best interest. We can't sit back and say now, if mommy didn't do that, they were doing what was best at that given point in time. We've got our children also to do the best for. So my daughter would not go on contraceptives because this happened on me. What other avenues are available? If my daughter is going on contraceptives, the day she takes a pen and smashes my face, I will understand. It's because they are throwing her all over the show. So yeah. An elaborate answer for an elaborate question.
It's important that you educate yourself. Amen. Some of the things that Satan is doing is because of your ignorance. So the moment light comes, you disarm him. So that's why it's important to, educate yourself and be familiar with your own body and how it functions. So subscribe to that channel, look through, scan through, find the things that you would like to know about, and then just listen to them. The recordings are usually somewhere between 25 minutes and 35 minutes. They're not very, very long. And you can then send questions. If you do have any questions.
A word from our sponsors. iDelight is a human development and empowerment organization. We offer courses, workshops, seminars, and conferences that add value to your life and help you develop to your fullest potential. Life is indeed a delight. You can learn and grow to become all you were created to become. Join us for any of our various events, seminars, and workshops, and acquire crucial and essential wisdom to help you in a different area of your life and relationship. We have the Single Ladies Boot Camp.
The Single Ladies Boot Camp is a program for single ladies from all ages and backgrounds, run by Pastor Chuks and Toyin Ugoihe. Many unmarried women are frustrated, either sitting on the singles bench or struggling in difficult relationships. Why the vicious cycle? Are relationships supposed to be frustrating, painful, hurtful, often going nowhere for years? Women start questioning the existence of good men and of love itself. Some even come to the point of giving up on the idea of marriage altogether. The Single Ladies Boot Camp is run over a weekend, and throughout the sessions, ladies are able to explore and learn the principles that govern relationships and biblical standards for relationships. The Single Ladies Boot Camp also teaches how to attract what you are looking for, as well as answering the questions: is there anything wrong with being single? Why do you really want to get married? Why are you not married yet? How do I find a husband? How do I deal with the frustration of waiting to be found? These are all valid questions that single women ask themselves and often break themselves down in trying to answer them. The Single Ladies Boot Camp will answer all those questions and more, giving women a change in perspective, direction, and hope for the future. For more information, visit www.slbc.co.za. Are you tired of going through the motions without a clear sense of direction? Our Purpose Discovery program can help you find your way. Join expert coaches Dr. Chuks Ugoihe and Mrs. Toyin Ugoihe as they guide you on a journey of self-discovery. You'll identify your unique talents and passions and gain the clarity and confidence you need to pursue your life's purpose. Don't wait any longer to start living a more meaningful life. Register now at idelight.co.za or call +27 642 001 545. A happy wife makes a happy man and a happy home. Join our expert coaches for a 2-day workshop to learn how to build and rebuild trust, improve communication, deepen intimacy, and resolve conflicts peacefully. You will be equipped with wisdom to work with a stubborn spouse, navigate challenging times, cope with adversity, and develop resilience. Sign up now at forwivesonly.co.za. The Power of Women Academy is a group mentoring program for high-impact women. Women who want to change their lives and their worlds and move on to the next level. Power of Women Academy is aimed and tailored at unleashing the passion and greatness locked inside you as a woman as you walk the journey of life over the mentorship period with our team of distinguished and well-accomplished mentors from all walks of life. Our mentors are indeed destiny helpers. These mentors come to inspire you. They come to encourage you, to challenge you, to teach you, to stretch you, and to empower you. They are committed to helping you fulfill your highest potential and help you birth your wildest dreams that have been placed in you by God. For more information about the Power of Women Academy, please visit www.powacademy.co.za or for inquiries, call 064 200 1545.